Are you kidding me? There's construction going on next door and they have been drilling all morning. Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm Victoria from Studio Biku. I've just come back from a shrine sale in Shinjuku and it is absolutely boiling. It's 37 degrees C here in Japan at the moment, and I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit, but that's pretty hot. So it was quite hard work going around the shrine sale. As I was going around the sale, I thought I could make a little video giving you some top tips of how to get the best deals and also how to have the best fun at a shrine sale in Japan. So what is a shrine sale? A shrine sale is a little bit like a garage sale or a car boot sale, only vendors come from all around and they set up in a, can you guess, shrine. So the setting is usually really beautiful. There's a shrine building, lots of old trees, it's really shady. Even in the summer it's slightly cooler, but there are loads of mosquitoes. I only bought 2 items at the sale today, but I'm pretty happy with what they are and how much I paid. And if you keep watching to the end, I'll show you. Shrine sales in Japan are not always weekly. The Hanazono one that I went to in Shinjuku, that is weekly, but some are monthly, some are the first and third Sundays, some of them are the first Wednesday, or some of them are just once or twice a year. So you have to make sure that you're checking the schedules so that you know that they're on. Now on my blog every month I'm going to try to update when the shrine sales are happening around the Tokyo area so that you can visit. So what can you find at a shrine sale? Well, there's lots of antique and vintage items. There's not new stuff like you would find at a car boot sale or a garage sale, but it's more about the retro antique kind of scene. So you can find paper ephemera, things like ticket stubs, posters, even matchbooks, and also I saw lots of old family photos, which made me feel a little bit sad. You can also find, uncomfortably for me personally, war memorabilia and all sorts of kimono, vintage kokeshi, antique kokeshi, amazing things from Japan's past, and also things from Europe even. Some items are high quality items, some of them are low quality items but they're a little older. They sort of daily items that you would find 50 years ago. Those are the ones I find the most interesting actually. Also, there are reproductions of old things, so you have to be mindful of that when you're looking around, that some things may not be the original antique that you think they are. Now that's not to say that the vendors are trying to trick you. In fact, very traditional things are remade over and over the generations in Japan, and it's not to dupe anyone into paying too much for something. So let's dive into the tips. Tip number 1 is to get your kit ready. I always make sure I get a load of things ready before I head out to the shrine sale. In the summer it's particularly brutal because of the heat and the mosquitoes, so I always make sure that I have my small change, so 1,000 yen, some 500s, some 100s, because sometimes the vendors don't want to break, 10,000 yen, it's a little bit tricky. Also, it's much quicker for paying if you've got the right change. Also, I take hand sanitizer and wipes because the items are pretty old and dirty, and you will be picking things up and your hands do feel quite grubby by the end. I also make sure that I take, in the summer, the mosquito repellent and the ointment once you get bitten, because you will be bitten. There's so many mosquitoes in these shady, damp areas. In the winter, I'd swap that bit out for the hot pads, the kairo, to keep my hands warm because it's freezing in Japan in the winter. And I would also always make sure, summer or winter, to take a flask of water with you. A final thing is, if you're a business owner and you need a receipt, not all vendors are happy to give you a receipt. I'm not sure why. If you ask for a receipt, sometimes they say, oh, sorry, no. And sometimes you say, oh, I've got my book, my receipt book, which you just buy from the convenience store. If you can say, would you mind writing a receipt in my receipt book? They're sometimes quite happy to do that for you. Bear in mind, you have to read the room. Sometimes they are completely, absolutely, no, I will not do a receipt. So you just have to move on and just cut your losses. Today I took a tote bag with me, but sometimes when I'm on a big shop and I need to restock something, if I'm buying a lot of kimono, for example, I might take a rolling suitcase or I might take a shopping trolley. Tip number 2 is sweep the sale. This doesn't literally mean get a broom out and sweep the sale. It means go from start to finish in one go without buying anything. Quite hard to do, isn't it? Because you think, I just want to buy all the things. But if you're trying to get a bargain and focus on the things that you really want and not overbuy, then my advice would be start at the beginning and go all the way through and see if there's something that catches your eye. Have a good look at it. Think about what you might pay for that. At this point, you could ask a price so that you know the sort of ballpark area that the vendor is thinking of, and then maybe come back later. But this is giving you a bit of time to mull over what you really, really want. At this point, I usually sort of engage the vendor in some kind of chat. Oh, hello, how are you? Nice day, isn't it? Isn't it hot? Isn't it cold? One of those kind of little phrases that you can use. This is to make sure that the vendor will remember me when I come back and maybe feel that we've got some kind of a relationship so that I can get a better deal. This is why I like small shrine sales, and the Hanazono one only has 30 to 40 vendors, so I can easily do that in about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And once I've done that, I either turn around and come back the way I've come, or I start back at the beginning and go through. The second time through, what I'm looking for are the items that I thought that I was interested in the first place. And then I go back and have another look at them and see if I really am still interested. Tip number 3 is all about pricing. So at this point, you already know what you're interested in, and you've had to think, what would I pay for this item? Not all vendors price their items, some do, so that gives you a starting point to know what they kind of want out of the item, but it doesn't mean that that is the final price. They sort of see you coming and think, what's the sort of price that this kind of customer might pay for that item? Bundling items together does give you a little bit more negotiating power with your final price. If there are things that you want that are in the same booth, then bundle them together and ask for a price together. Make sure you tell the vendors that you live in Japan if you do, and at this point they realise, oh, maybe you'll be coming back again and again, and they want to have a relationship with you, especially if you're a business owner, and they will give you a fairer price. Before haggling, especially if it's a very expensive item, please do read the room, because not all vendors are up for haggling. Some of them immediately, when you say a special word, chatto, just means, oh, it's a little bit. As soon as you say that, they will drop their price immediately. At that point, you know you can be in some kind of haggling maneuver. But this is the tricky bit, is to know when is okay to haggle and when it's not okay to haggle, which leads on to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is all about respect and kindness, and making sure that you handle the items in the vendor's booth with real care. If you want to look at it, feel free to pick it up unless it looks very, very expensive, and then ask if it's okay. Make sure that when you have finished looking at it carefully, you put it back exactly how it was displayed, and just show it a little bit of respect. A little smile when you enter someone's booth goes a massive way. Konnichiwa, say hello, or just say ohayo gozaimasu, say good morning, and that will go a long way with a vendor, even if you don't speak Japanese. Having a little chat with the vendors, even if it's just a few phrases that you learn beforehand, such as atsui desu ne, which is like, oh, isn't it hot? Or samui desu ne, isn't it cold? Or kawaii desu ne, isn't that cute? Or ii mono desu ne, isn't that a good item? Something like that gives an in for you to have a relationship with that vendor, even if it's just for a few seconds, and will probably get you a better deal on your item. Be careful who you photograph and what you photograph. Not everyone is happy being on camera or their items being on camera. There are lots of reasons why this might be, but please be careful. The laws are pretty strict in Japan about photographing people without their consent, so please be respectful and don't do it. So tip number 5 is all about timing. Now, they always say the early bird catches the worm. Well, this is also the case with most shrine sales. This particular one at Hanazono, which is every Sunday, they start around 7, I think maybe even earlier, like 6 a.m. I'm not about to go at that time in the morning, but by 12:30 they were already wrapping up their items. So even if the shrine sale says the official closing is 2 or 3 o'clock, be aware that round about an hour or two before, people will start packing up their items that they think they're not going to sell. Check beforehand before you head out to a sale if it's actually on that week, because things like weather forecasts, national holidays, lots of things might actually affect whether they're on or they're not. Also, not all shrine sales are created equally. Make sure you check if you want to go to a really big one. Don't go to Hanazono, there's only a few vendors there. I prefer those because it gives me time to have a little chat with the vendors. The big ones I find too overwhelming and I'm just not into it. But if that's your thing, check schedules. Again, it's going to be on my blog every month, so please do check back. And if you want it straight into your inbox, just sign up. So that was the 5 tips, but now I have a bonus tip for you. I love broken things and forgotten things, things that people think have got no life left in them, but I can always see a use for them. I always head to the little boxes or baskets, or sometimes it's just a plastic bag at the side of a sale or at the back of a booth, where it just says all in here 100 yen or all in here 300 yen. And I find broken fans, broken kokeshis, I find all sorts of interesting bits of metal, really cool stuff that people think is just useless and worthless. You can pick up something quite interesting, especially if you've got an art practice. There are lots of other ways to buy vintage and antique in Japan. It's not just shrine sales, but they are by far the most beautiful way to shop. You're surrounded by nature in a gorgeous shrine, and I think personally that the mood of the place has a big bearing on how the sale goes for me. I feel happy there. I think the vendors feel happy there. They love to chat. They're really relaxed. and I just find the whole experience really relaxing and exciting at the same time. If you've ever been to a shrine sale in Japan, or you go often, please comment below which one is your favourite. I'm always looking for new recommendations, and I might even see you there one day. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Now I'm going to show you what I actually got at this sale. I only bought 2 things because I was very strict on myself. I knew I only wanted what I really loved and how much I wanted to pay for the items once I'd done my sweep. And here's what I got. First of all, I picked up this kokeshi. This kokeshi was the only kokeshi that I wanted to buy today. And the reason is I have 2 other kokeshis just like this one by the same maker. But I have a tall, thin one and I have a small, short one. So this was going to complete my little triangle of 3, and I knew that I wanted it. But I also knew the condition was a bit iffy, so how much I wanted to pay for it was no more than 1,500 yen. So I went away and had a think about it, came back, and I asked the vendor how much is it, and it was with actually some good items. So he knew that this was a good thing. I looked up the tall one the other day and it's worth 16,000. So I was kind of prepared for a big price, and he said, oh, it's 3,000. And I said, no, I can't. I just can't do it. I also said to him, oh, I live in Japan. I come here really often, like once a month. And he said, oh, yes, yes, yes. And he kind of remembered me. I said, I bought kokeshi from you before. Oh, yes. Whether he remembered me or not, I don't know. But we're striking up a bit of a rapport with each other. So then I said, oh, chotto, that special word, as in it's a little expensive, 3,000. And he said, oh, how about 2,000? And I said, I don't know. And I was looking at it and I fanned him a little bit because it was so hot, just like now. And he said, and as I was fanning him, and he said, oh, thank you very much. I said, oh, look, the condition's not so good. Her eyes are not so good. She's got some wear here, and also her head's a little bit loose. I would never buy this kind of kokeshi to resell because its condition is too bad. But I knew that I just wanted it. So after all that, of the fanning and everything else, he said, okay, 1,500. And that's what I got it for. I was really happy, he was really happy, and she's here with me now. The second thing I got was this papier-mâché mask. Everyone in my family thinks it's disgusting. I think it's absolutely brilliant. It says Heisei 6, which is 1994 on it. It's handmade, and it's hyotoko mask, and you can see it's to ward off any evil spirits. So he's going to be in my studio. Come and say hi. Now this one had a sticker on it for 3,000 yen, and I just said no, I can't pay that, it's too expensive. And then I said the same thing as I usually do. I live in Japan, yeah, blah blah blah. We had a little chat. He said, okay, 2,000 yen, 2,000 yen. And I said, no, how about 1,500? And he said, okay. So basically I got it off 50% off the ticket price, and everybody was happy. It'd mean the world if you subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow this thing, and it's hard work. Hit the notification bell so that you'll be notified when I put out some new content. Thanks for watching today. Hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments if you've been to a shrine sale. I'd love to hear your experiences and if these tips were helpful. I'll see you all next time. Bye!